Hi, I'm Rebecca from Displaced Housewife, and in this week's episode of Splurge, we're going to make some super fall maple oat scones. I'm going to talk about some of the ingredients real quick, and then we'll get started. So for our ingredients, we have some old-fashioned oats, not quick cooking. We have all-purpose flour, cake flour, which makes a nice tender scone, and then we also have some white whole wheat flour here. So for our ingredients, we have some old-fashioned oats, not quick cooking. We have all-purpose flour, cake flour, which makes a nice tender scone. And then we also have some white whole wheat flour here. All right, so let me just say, I realize that that's a lot of flour, different types of flours to go in one scone, but that combination will make it super tender. That's why I always add cake flour to my scones. And then in regards to the white whole wheat, so I love to use the white whole wheat flour in cookies when I'm making, like I would use it in banana bread, because you get the benefits of the whole wheat flour without that heaviness, and it makes things quite light and fluffy. And then lastly, we have our baking powder, our cinnamon, and then our sea salt. So I'll whisk together our dry ingredients real quick, make sure they're fully blended together. And then we're gonna cut in the butter. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Then I'm gonna talk about our wet ingredients really quick because I'm very specific about one of them. Okay, I almost forgot because I'm so used to mixing creaming the sugar with butter, but you also mix your sugar in with the dry ingredients. And I used brown sugar because I wanted some of those delicious caramely notes that brown sugar. All right, so I have a solid 8 ounces of butter, which is a lot. So we're definitely not dieting with these scones. And I am gonna cut this cold butter in until it's about the size of large peas. All right, so this is the texture we want. We want them to be the size of large peas. See, there's a couple of larger ones, which is fine. While I mix up the wet ingredients, I'm gonna put this in the freezer to keep it nice and chilled. All right, for our wet ingredients, in here we have heavy whipping cream, we have 2 eggs, and real maple syrup, and that is the ingredient I'm super picky about. So maple syrup, real maple syrup with nothing in it but maple syrup, is actually quite expensive, and it's tempting to think that you could sub in some imitation, but you absolutely can't. It will change the texture and ruin. We're gonna drizzle our wet ingredients over the dry, and then I love to use a fork for stirring it around until it starts to form a mass, and then we'll get in with our hand. So I divided it up into 4 mounds, and then I'm gonna flour up my hands, and I'm gonna gently pat them into round discs about 1 inch high. So just a couple quick notes before we put these in the freezer for a quick freeze, a little chill. Pat them very lightly, like don't overwork your dough. The other thing is try to make sure you have like 90-degree edges that are nice and. So when cutting the scones, I like to use a really sharp knife and just cut up and down. Don't do like seesaw, because then you can make the edges a little unstable and they won't stay nice while baking, and leave space between. This is what they look like out of the oven. I already added some glaze to one of them, and then in this small skillet I toasted up, which is actually still hot, I toasted up some pecans and oats and sprinkled those on the top. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Thanks to everyone at the Feedfeed for having me. I hope you love this recipe. DM me with any questions, and I'll see you guys next month. Bye.